The player that you played with who was a bit of a legend was Peter Shilton. But what were your views about Peter Shilton?
I believe that there's, like you do at school, the last one, the one who don't get picked goes in goal. One of those, It's one of those. And it's, I played with Bonetti, so I played with the best, pound for pound. There's nobody better than him. In the under-23s, I played with the likes of Jimmy Rimmer, Ray Clements, whatever. I think I played with Peter in the under-23s. I went on later to play with people like Pat Jennings. I knew about goalkeepers, but I do know one thing about goalkeepers. Talk about Pep Guardiola again, is why does he want goalkeepers to play football? Because they can't play football. That's why they're in goal. That's why they were last in the queue, And he comes in, Peter, and it was like, it's all about him, And I think that's why, not Forest probably, Clough maybe played to that and thought, well, let it be about you, but you better not let her go in. And he was the kind of goalkeeper that he would, if there was 42 games in a season and everyone was 0-0, he'd be the happiest man in the world. Yeah. But you end up fourth from bottom.
Yeah.
And we're playing with him, we'll be going, well, that's no good, we want to win games, I don't think Ferguson would stand for that. But Cloughy stood for it because it got an average-looking team to where they wanted to go. And they got in Europe, they was hard to score against. And you got Larry Lloyd and Kenny Burns and people like that you don't really want to come up against every week, And this was all right. So he was, and I heard Shilton say something to our centre-half one day without knowing that I was just behind them. He said, to our centre-half, Dennis Smith, if you push out a little bit, you'll end up playing for England. Now, I went to him, how long have you been taking the team meetings? And he said, no, I said, no, that's not for you to say to him. You're only saying that because you don't want to clash with him, because Dennis Smith would go up for balls and wouldn't look where Shilton was, he'd go for the ball and he'll smash him, smash his own goalkeeper. And that's what he was worried about, So we had this problem. And then one day in a meeting he said, we're unprofessional.
Shilton said that.
Yeah, he said we're unprofessional. And I didn't get that one. Mickey Pejic said I was unprofessional. But and then we played in Newcastle one day and a ball come out of the sky and we would win him 1-0, I think, and defenders run out and we run out to get him to throw it out and he dropped it in his own net. And my governor, Tony Waddington, the first time I've heard him had a go at someone. He said, that's what I call unprofessional.
I was going to say, yeah, if anyone was unprofessional,
that's
Peter had showed you that day.
Yeah. He kind of dug his own grave there.
Didn't they play tricks on him in the dressing room?
Yeah, a couple of lads. Terry Conroy, John Mahoney used to fill his bed. It was a routine that we knew was coming because we had to wash our own kit in them days, and his missus said she weren't going to do it, and he'd go out and wash his kit.
Now, just let me stop you there. Now, listen to that. They had to wash their own kit. Can you imagine Foden or Grealish or Rashford going, take that home and wash it, will you?
Yeah. No, it was unbelievable. But that's what, especially
they filled up his bag, did
they used to put weights in his bag, yeah. People that we used to say that's why I had long arms, we used to say, well, he was doing the press ups. No, it's the weights in the bag, So, but he set himself up to be shot, and that was it. I don't know what it would be like if I come across him now. I see the other day got an MD or something. I see him in a picture getting something, and I thought,
because he had a bad gambling problem as well, old Shields, didn't he?
Can't knock him for that.
No, I'm just saying it was one of the battles he had to fight, wasn't it? His gambling, I think.
I don't know. I remember going around his house once. It was the only player I've ever known to have what they had in betting shops. He had the old the speakers in there from the betting shop. He did, yeah, and sending all the prices in further. I remember him having that. I don't know how he got. He must have known a bookmaker in Leicester or something.
I suppose you could say that it'd become an issue then, yeah.
Yeah.
Another great manager was Bill Shankly, and he was very complimentary about you, wasn't he?
Well, he was on one occasion, which was fantastic, especially it was all game, started the game. After all of my nightmares at Chelsea and the FA ban and everything else, and everything, now things started to go right, and I started to play well, and got my confidence back, and got over a few other issues. The wife had come back, but I don't know if that was a good thing, but she went again. But and I played in this game against him over Easter, and it was the best 90 minutes I'd ever played. And I weren't going to play actually because of the ground, and the famous story of Tony and soaking the pitch, the fire brigade come out, and that kind of gave me, you don't know what that does for a player, you know, for a manager to let you know that that's how, you know, how much we need you today. Because if I hadn't have played, I don't think I'd have watched the game. It was a top of the league clash, and we beat Liverpool.
At their height as well, then, weren't they?
Well, they were great. They were
a top
great
team then at that point, weren't they? Yeah.
Actually, he wasn't manager. I was to learn later. I always, because I was so, you get so wrapped up in what you're doing. And Paisley was in charge, but he was obviously at all the games, and he said himself, Shankly, he wouldn't have packed up if he'd known what was life was going to be after, you know.
Yeah, didn't he spend a lot of time hanging around and they got a bit irritated in him with him?
Well, I would imagine without football he would have been, yeah.
But what did he say to you? He came in the dressing room, yeah?
He did. He knocked on the door in the. I don't say it was. We were celebrating. I mean, we beat Liverpool at the top of the league clash at Easter, so that really put us in pole position, and it was kind of. We had a strange dressing room at Stoke. You know, you didn't know. You got some. Even after a year or so, you got some strange looks. You know, I did anyway, from certain players. And the great thing about this was, I remember throwing my shirt on the floor, and I was just thinking, you got such this thing inside, you know, you got the pride of what I'm going to go, and my dad was there, my uncle was there, all my family were there at the Victoria ground, and I'm going to go and see him and walk in, and next thing you know, the knock on the door, and Bill Shankly comes in, and everything you're feeling inside, he says, you know, he said, that's the best performance I've ever seen. He shook my hand, he walked through all the mud, and now I kind of, you want to jump up at the end of the dressing room and say, well, tell him and him and him. You can't do that.
But sure, that's good enough. If Bill Shankly said that in front of everyone, you couldn't get a bigger compliment than that, Al.
Well, I looked at my boss, and my boss just went, you know, and then I told my dad, and he went,